Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of Bernie Sanders' highest-profile surrogates. She told an interviewer it would be an honor to be his vice president, but adding the Constitution would prevent it at this point. Here's the quote: "It'd be an honor to be vice president. Well, I can't be his running mate because I'm not old enough. I'm 30, and you have to be at least 35. But it'd be an honor to be vice president." Robert Wolfe is CEO of 32 Advisors, former economic advisor to Barack Obama, Fox News contributor. Glad she made the clarification.
Yeah, well, you never know. Maybe she changes the rules. We've seen other rules change. Listen,
that one's in the Constitution, so it's harder to change.
Well, we're seeing the Constitution change the last few weeks, it seems, as well. Listen, she is a great surrogate for Bernie Sanders. Everyone was wondering whether she was going to go with Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. She went with Bernie Sanders. She has a social media profile probably second to none right now.
Incredible fundraising abilities.
And so it's a good get for her. I mean, I disagree with many of her views, but I like her passion, and I like that she's for the party. I mean, but I do think she can make a difference in the primary.
She's a great surrogate, as you pointed out, for Bernie Sanders in the primary. Would she be, or will she be, because chances are she's not going to stop on social media or other places, a good surrogate for whoever the Democratic nominee is?
I think she would be a good surrogate. Irrespective of who the nominee is, we need to make sure we get out the vote, we get out young people to vote, we get out, you know, she's incredibly...
But she doesn't play well in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin.
In some areas, she may play well in those areas. Let's be clear. You know, she'll do incredibly well with the young people. She'll do incredibly well with the Hispanic and Latino community. She's incredibly progressive, which is still at least a third of our party. And I think it's an unknown what she could bring to the table because it's her first time doing it. We also didn't think she would beat Joe Crowley in New York.
She did do that. This brings up, though, an important point for Democrats. You came from a moderate coalition-building Barack Obama campaign.
And I'm still a moderate.
And you're still a moderate. Do you worry that President Trump and the Republicans will be able to tie Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as sort of a ball and chain to drag or to create this image to run against of a Democratic Party that's just so far left and out of touch?
He may try, but I don't think it's going to work because it's going to be who the candidate is, not who a surrogate is. Listen, both sides of the party have people on the far left and the far right, and we can make this a fringe election, but that is not where the winning is. The winning takes place in the center. As you mentioned before, the half a dozen to dozen swing states are the entire election. So it's important, I think, for the Democratic Party is about getting out the vote. And what we saw with Trump versus Clinton, we struggled to get out the vote with young people, people of color, minorities, and we have to do a better job with that.
Speaking in terms of where the party is, there is now this question in the Democratic Party of purity tests when it comes to donors. Elizabeth Warren's latest campaign ad taking a hit at Mayor Pete. Take a listen.
I'm not doing big dollar fundraisers. I'm not selling ambassadorships to donors. I'm not cozying up to super PACs. And my first priority as president will be to pass the biggest package of anti-corruption reform since Watergate.
As you watch that, do you worry about candidates over the next couple of cycles having to pass this donor purity test?
Yes. And I would say on one side, I like that she's anti-corruption. I was a supporter of the Consumer Financial Protection Agency. I do think we need campaign finance reform. On the other side, I just don't agree with that advertisement because the most you can give as a donor is $2,800. $2,800 is not buying an ambassadorship. I've been a staunch Democratic donor for over 20 years. I have not been an ambassador. There's
been a number of Democratic donors and Republican donors who end up as ambassadors.
But right now, the Democratic Party, no different than the Republican Party, we have to make sure we're giving to promote our policies, to promote our nominees, to promote our candidates. And the motion gives $2,800, and this litmus test, I just think, falls on deaf ears.
We've now gotten a few days away from the Pete Buttigieg wine cave fundraiser kerfuffle at the Democratic debate. Are you hearing from any Democratic fundraisers, bundlers, going, gee, I don't know if I want to host a fundraiser now because I'm going to become front page on the Wall Street Journal and everyone's going to be talking about my house, my business, where I held the fundraiser, how much the wine was per glass?
You know, I think we have to find the right balance. We need we need to have a big tent in the Democratic Party, and we need all people who want to contribute, whether grassroots or those who have been incredibly successful. We need all sides. I don't see people walking away from helping their candidate because of Elizabeth Warren's advertisement.
Interesting point and good data point there. Moving on now to Tulsi Gabbard, the former governor, that is, of Hawaii, saying she should resign from Congress because she has spent way too much campaigning and not enough time doing her job. Take a listen.
She's missed virtually all of the votes so far, up to and including after last week coming and voting present at the impeachment vote, missing the vote on the financing of the United States government that took place right after. And I hope that she will understand both my motivation and the practicality for her constituents in the 2nd District to have a resignation and a special election.
Is his motivation that he doesn't like that she voted present, or he doesn't like that she is not been there?
So there's a few things to unpack here. One, when you are a representative or a senator, you are being paid by the country. You should show up to work. I like the idea that Cory Booker and Amy Klobuchar and other senators have said, Elizabeth Warren, that if there is a trial, they will be there in lieu of campaigning.
Yeah, but fair point, but they've also missed some time to be able to campaign.
Well, I'm just going to unpack that quickly. Okay. And number two, I didn't like her vote of present, but I wasn't surprised. She's running for an election. She's doing best in New Hampshire. It's an open primary seat. And by the way, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats can go. So she, I think,
did you not like it because you thought it lacked a certain amount of backbone to take a stand, or did you not like it because it wasn't a vote to convict or to impeach? Pardon me.
Yeah, it's not for me to decide whether she would vote, yay or nay. But I do think that with that type of vote, that's only happened for 3 times. Take a stand.
Okay, fair point.
It's not for me to tell her which way she should have voted.
Do you think that plays better in New Hampshire? Is that where she's going?
It does play well in New Hampshire. That's the only place where I think she's north of 4 or 5%. Like I said, most of the primaries in the Democratic Party are closed. That is an open primary. She's going to get Republicans likely voting for her. And I think she took that stance in a more political way than necessarily from maybe where she sees the president, because she came out yesterday saying that she believed he was unfit for office. So if you
believe he's unfit, why do you vote president?
I mean, she took a pretty hard stand yesterday against him.
Perhaps in response to some of this criticism. Now we'll put up the campaign response to the calls for her resignation. Hawaii is Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard's home and her heart. Her pursuit of the highest office in the land has not compromised her and her team's commitment to serving the people of Hawaii in her 4th term in Congress. Therefore, I'm guessing she's not exactly going to take the governor's recommendation.
Yeah, she's not going to take the recommendation, but she has declared that she's not running for that seat again. So in a way, she's a lame duck representative. I think there are 21 Republican representatives who have declared that they're going to not seek re-election. She's one of the few Democrats.
Very quickly, does it bother you at all if you're talking about whether or not you're showing up and whether you're being paid? Should there be some kind of minimum? If you want to be a senator, you got to show up X number of times, as you brought up Booker, Klobuchar, Warren, Gillibrand, who was in the race, who weren't necessarily there every day. They were fundraising and running.
I don't have an issue with someone who's not there every day. I have an issue with someone who's not there when they're supposed to be there. If they're on a certain committee, whether it's Budget Committee or Defense Committee, and you're one of the few people representing your party, make sure you're there.
Robert, appreciate your time. As always, the candid conversation is always a good one.
Leland, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Happy holiday.